GD here, Till Limits, and as you can see here today, we're back for another F1 tips video on F1 2015 here today. Something I'll definitely be doing a lot more of on F1 2016, because I think on that game there's going to be potentially hundreds, or maybe definitely about 100 videos you could do on that game. But for here today, we're going to be talking about how I actually approach races and mainly consistency, and why I think it is actually the number one thing, the number one tip I think you should really be focusing on when you do go into a race. So starting this now, we're going to put on the setup quickly. So we're just going to put on my Spain setup as I usually do every single video. And we're going to go into this, and for me, this video is just really just going to be me talking about as we get a good start and lean, try and do this. So yeah, see that we didn't get a bad start there. So I'll try and talk and play at the same time while trying to be consistent, which is what this video is about. So consistency, for me, I think that is a lot more important than outright speed. And it's something, if you've been watching me league race before, it's something that I really do focus on quite heavily when I race against other people. I don't consider myself to be the fastest on one lap pace out of anyone at all, but I definitely do consider myself to definitely be one of the most consistent, and I really do feel that's what actually wins you races, makes you a lot more successful online as well. It's just being consistent. I'm just going to go over in today's video here today, and then also I want to hear your guys' thoughts on what you feel on the subject as well, in terms of it, and if you feel there's something you aim to do. But for me, one lap pace in qualifying, I've never been the quickest guy in the F1 games. You know, there's plenty of people I could count on both hands that will probably be beating me on one lap pace in qualifying for league races and all this stuff as well. Obviously you do need an element of raw speed, but for me personally, I feel consistency really does outweigh that quite significantly. And how I prepare for races, which is what this video is really going to be about, is I never really do qualifying. I just do this. So I just go in a 50% race by myself or with someone that I actually practice or trust with, and I just do laps. And to work out the strategy, I just go as long as I can on the first set of tyres, so options usually. I just go until literally tyres do explode. That's how I work out my strategy, and that's something I have been doing in league racing for a while. And you may notice I like to go really long in the tyres, because if you can keep your tyres under control, then you may lose a little bit through someone undercutting you, but just having that advantage, that actual physical advantage of you having fresher tyres, if you can make it work and have a really good in lap, then most times it is really going to work for you, unless you get stuck in traffic when you come out of the pits or something like that. So you may notice that's what I do in my league racing. But for me, when I'm actually driving, how I'm actually thinking when I'm driving around the track, is I'm not aiming to push 100% all the time. So this is an example here now I'm just aiming to just hit those apexes. It's just before the show here, trying to hit this one, clip the curb on that one, just double shift as we did with traction in previous videos. And for this, we're driving about 80% of what we could be doing, because in my opinion, if you're driving flat out all the time, not only is it going to probably wear your car down, wear the fuel down, or tyre wear, it's actually going to make you create a lot more mistakes than what you would do if you were just reserving. So if you're reserving maybe a couple of attempts a lap or here or there, I feel in the long run that's actually going to benefit you a lot more. And if you're not consistent, it's all good having the raw speed, but if you can't do it, if you can't consistently get within that throughout a whole race, that could cost you actual seconds by the end of the race, and I really feel that makes a big difference. So for me, when I actually practice for a league race, I normally do 50% or whatever the distance of the league race actually is. I'm racing it by myself in Grand Prix mode or online with a friend or someone else I can definitely trust and practice with, and I drive until I can go absolutely to the limit, as far as I can go on my tyres, and then I know exactly how long those tyres are going to last for. From there, I'm 100% confident going into the race, no matter what I do, that those tyres are going to last that distance. And I just practice getting in the rhythm. I just practice to what it would feel like, how I would be driving in a league race. So nothing's going to feel different to me, because I think the biggest mistake people can make is really just practicing qualifying too much. And obviously that's important to get a really good grid position for a race, but if you don't practice the race at all, the difference in feeling in the car, or most F1 games at least, is quite a big difference in terms of the braking points. And you know, you don't experience that much tyre wearing in qualifying, because you're always putting on new tyres as well. The car's always grippy, and I think the reason why some people struggle in races as well is because they just don't know how the car's going to react when, you know, the tyres are going off or anything. So I always like to know exactly how the car feels when it's on the limit of grip, like when the tyres start going off. I know what lap it's going to go off, so I know normally like around here it's going to be a lap like 6 or 7 or something that the tyres are actually going to go off. So that feeling's never going to be alien to me, and I feel that's an absolutely huge advantage, because if you watch AOR, you know, other leagues and stuff as well, you have these guys that are really quick in qualifying, you know, but in the race it's a different story. And that's not because they're not as skillful as the other people in the race, it's because in my opinion they just don't really know what it's like, how the car really feels, and when the car's actually going off a grip, you know, you're locking up a lot more. You know, it's a completely different ball game to what it actually is in qualifying. So for me, that's just a really important thing, and it's something you can't really teach. It's something you just have to do yourself. But for me personally, just going in a race by yourself and actually just really doing a simulation of the race, that even just completely just forget qualifying, because I feel if you can, for me, if you can get really quick race pace, then, you know, the qualifying pace is going to come, because it's going to feel even more grippy than it would do in the race. It's going to be a lot easier transition. Whereas if you're a master qualifying and then you go into the race with heavy fuel, the car's not as grippy, you know, the tyres are going off as well, you know, it's going to be quite difficult to adapt to something like that. So I feel it's better to actually have quicker race pace, because, you know, it's actually going to convert easier over to qualifying. You may not be the fastest in qualifying, but I'm pretty sure you'll still have a good time while you're doing it as well. So those are my tips really of what I do going into a league race, and making sure I know the strategy inside and out, exactly how long the first stint goes on for. And that's all I really do. I just know exactly how long that first stint, because once I know that, then you pretty much know when to pit. You know, if you're going that longer than other people as well, and you know that when they pit next time, then you've got to pit the next lap as well. So it kind of just all works itself out once you do that. But for me, driving around the track, I never really drive 100%, obviously, unless you need to, if you're catching someone for the lead or something that is different, or you're being caught. But most of the time I try and keep it about 80-90%, just to focus on the apex. So for this, I'll be looking at the second brake marker ball come into here, just making sure that I'm going to hit this. So just before that, go down to there, short shift into fourth before this corner, stay middle of the track once I'm in the middle, turn right. And this is what I'm thinking of really. I just take it corner by corner each time, not really trying to think about the long distance of the race all the time. Take it by corner and just be consistent. Just try not to, you know, over exaggerate the movements on the car or anything like that, because I feel consistency really is the biggest thing in terms of being successful in winning races online or in career mode or anything like that at all. That's something I've been doing for a while now, just practicing by myself, just knowing the simulation of the first stint. I feel is absolutely crucial for a race, because if you don't know that, you go going with no confidence and no idea what the strategy is going to be. So this little video here today is just me just talking about why I feel consistency really is like a huge thing, because if you just focus on qualifying, it's going to just, you know, the race is just so different to what it is in qualifying. Normally the pace just doesn't transcend over. So those are my tips here today. Next video I'll probably be doing maybe like a ABS cam video on 2013, because this game doesn't really apply that much. So I'll probably be doing that. But for F1 2016, I'll be doing plenty of videos in that, because, you know, it's going to be, you know, there's so many things you can talk about in that video or in that game. It's going to be absolutely crazy. So that's it from me today. Just talking about consistency, really just trying to focus on getting the rhythm of the race, because if you can get in the rhythm, it really just carries the momentum throughout the whole race. Because if you're just pushing it on the edge the whole time, I really do feel that you just go cause more errors, and just always on the edge of just not knowing when you're going to make a mistake or not. So that's just my little tip just in the mind really of when you're doing races. So if you do like this video, then please leave a like, comment what you think below, anything you feel that helps you, or anything you want to see in future for me as well. Thank you so much for supporting my channel recently, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.